Hi class, this is Jada Stevenson and this is my introduction video. To introduce myself, I am from Newark, Delaware, and I am 26 years old. To describe my role where I've encountered people diagnosed with a mental health condition, I started out in the field when I was 21 years old. I was still getting my undergraduate degree. My undergrad is a BS in psychology, so I was still working on that. And my first job was at a group home facility. It was like a group home setting. It was um, it was a group home, but then there was the school there. So I would work in the group home. I was called a community living specialist, but it's basically like a direct support staff or direct support person. I worked in the home with people, with the people who resided there. There were people who just came for like day programs and stuff like that too. And then I would go with them to school, and I would also work with them in the classrooms. The type of people who lived at this residence were, most of them had intellectual and developmental disabilities. A lot of them had mental, like I guess you would say like a mental illness with along with that. Like they might be autistic, but they could be, well, they were diagnosed schizophrenic or bipolar along with the autism, or um, there were some with fetal alcohol syndrome. Like they all had a wide range of things. So their ages range from like 10 years old all the way up to like 60 years old. So that was my first job in the field. I stayed there for a little while, I think like a year and a half. And then an opportunity came up at the hospital here, which is called Christiana Care. And there I was a crisis monitor, or they were also called safety companions. And basically, these are the people who would come in to the ED, and they would also have a wide range of different mental health conditions. The main types of people that I would get would be like alcohol withdrawal, people going through alcohol withdrawal, which, if you know anything about that, is pretty intense. Or depression, suicidal. They had attempted suicide and didn't succeed, or they just felt like suicidal. I'd also get people who had like dementia, like severe dementia, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, just pretty much any psych patient who they felt wasn't safe to be alone, or they could be a danger to themselves or someone else. I one time had a patient who had encephalitis, and that made her unsafe because encephalitis is like swelling in the brain caused by like bacteria or a virus, and it's kind of like a delirium, like you're delirious and people don't even remember it. So like it's just pretty much anyone who's affected psychologically and they can't be by themselves. It's not safe for them to be by themselves. They're not in the right state or something like that. So um, I did that for a while and I liked it. The only thing I didn't like, it was I was kind of like a tech or like a nurse assistant, so I had to do like the same things that nurses had to do. Well, some of the same things, not all of them. I wasn't really into that part too much. I'm kind of squeamish. I don't think I could ever be a nurse, but it was a good experience and I learned a lot. Um, After that, for a brief time, I worked at this place called NHS, and there I was a family-based therapist. Family-based therapists, they work with families who have like a lot of issues with cohesion, and the child is like a hair away from being hospitalized somewhere. And basically, we were like mobile therapists who came into the home twice a week and had sessions with the families, and we would just work on coping skills and um, different things to try to help. There was a whole therapy model that went with it and everything, and just work with the families to try to build cohesion and build better relationships so that we could prevent hospitalization and keep the child within the home and keep the child with their family. So as far as that's probably the closest I've ever come with diagnosing. I haven't been able to diagnose yet, but we do, when you're even a mobile therapist, even if you're not like a master's level therapist, you still have to assess the family and figure out these are the issues that are happening, and this is the best way to solve it. Every family's different. What works with one family might not work with another family. So I did that for a little bit, but it just conflicted too much with school. And at the time, I was at another school trying to get my MSW, and that school didn't have online options, and it was like all in class, and I was just having breakdowns all the time. It was just too much. So I wound up leaving that school because it wasn't a good fit for me. Then I wound up just leaving that job because it was a great job and I loved it, but it was really far away. I was traveling like an hour and 10 minutes just to see my first client. Or I'm from Delaware, so I had to go all the way to like Exton and Coatesville. Like the job was stationed out of PA. So it was a great experience, but it wasn't the right time for me. So then I moved from that job to my current position, which I love. I'm as I'm a case manager, but they call us an employment training specialist. And right now I work with people who have intellectual and developmental disabilities, and my job is to help them find gainful employment. So I'm just basically another case manager they can add to their list. But primarily I focus on finding them employment, finding them they do even volunteering, job readiness, job training, just really trying to set them up to be as independent as possible and find gainful employment where they're actually making money and they can support themselves. And we have a wide range of mental health conditions: autism, Down syndrome. I have 2 clients who work in a law firm, and they both have Down syndrome, and they're awesome and they do an amazing job. I have people who have autism. There are people who are just physically handicapped. I have someone who right now I'm trying to find her employment, and she's a quadriplegic, so she's paralyzed from the neck down, and she's very verbal and social. So you can see some of the challenges is we even like try to carve jobs for people. So it's I like this job. It doesn't compare to anything I've done before, and it's just a new experience. I love all of my clients. I love everyone I work with. I love their families. I love just everything about them. So it's a really good fit for me right now with school and everything. And it still is hard to balance schoolwork with paperwork. As some of you know, paperwork never ends and I'm never caught up. But this so far has been the best fit for me, and I really am happy there. So those are my roles in the jobs. As far as diagnosing, like the closest thing I've related to that is when I was a family-based therapist. And I couldn't technically diagnose people, but I could look at the different issues and symptoms and basically make the provisional diagnosis, like just kind of like a hypothesis or just kind of like a guess, and just do the best I could with that. And challenges with diagnosing, we read it. It's pretty much trying to narrow it down. Like there's so many different things, and there's so many factors that can trigger symptoms of one diagnosis, but it could be so far away from that. So I think the biggest challenge is just accurately diagnosing people and making sure you're following all the steps so that you're giving them your best service and you're helping them with maintaining the best quality of life. Because how can you do that if you're diagnosing someone with the wrong thing? You're not helping them. So I think that would be the biggest challenge. And when to know if it's a comorbid situation or if it's takes practice. So that's about it, and I look forward to this class. I feel like so excited, like this is what I've been waiting for, is like learning all of, like this is it. I'm so excited for this class. So I hope all of you guys are just as excited, and good luck to everyone. And I'm sorry for the glare in my glasses. I just didn't feel like wearing my contacts, and I don't know how to keep it from showing. But anyway, nice meeting you guys. I'll talk to you guys later.